The next exercise, exercise 3 in this exam paper, that's an exercise in activity-based costing. It's not particularly difficult exercise, but it's a very messy exercise. We get a lot of information on these three products. And first we can see here, this is the standard costing analysis with the resulting product margins. And then we get a lot of information that we should use to make an activity-based costing analysis. And we should make it in this table. We should actually fill in all the numbers down here. Now, this would normally be by far easiest to do in Excel. But when we copy the tables into Excel, we can see that the numbers here don't match, and that's because of the way that these numbers have been typed into the table to begin with, and that's a problem. So we can't really do it like that without changing the numbers. Now in this document I have actually corrected almost all the numbers, because for example this number 80,000, when I just copied it into Excel, it just said 80, although the number in the table in the Word document was 80,000. So I actually had to change all these numbers. Now what I can say is I hope that you don't get a stupid exercise like this at the exam, because at least you should be able to just use the tables from the Word document and then work on those, because as you will find from now on, it's so much easier when we can just do it all in Excel. So I just hope that those making the exam papers are clever enough to avoid making the same mistake. Now up here we just add all these numbers together. We can also use the sum function to find the total number of series across all three product groups. The number of product groups, well, that's given, one each. Down here we have to find the machine hours per product group. That's equal to 80,000 times the machine hours per unit. So that's 5,600. And the machine hours for this product group will then be 3,840, and we can find the total number of machine hours across all three product groups, 23,400. Now we actually have all the information we need to fill in this table over here, which will result in a product margin. This number, we can find that in this table, 600,000. This number, we can find that in this table, and of course the total will just be equal to 2,400,000. The material cost, all the direct cost, well, we can take that from the standard costing analysis down here. That's no problem. That hasn't changed. Direct costs are direct costs. Direct wages, find them down here. And here. And we can again find the sum like that. Now we should work on the indirect costs. And we can see first we have to allocate the indirect costs for power, and they are driven by the number of series. That piece of information is here. The indirect cost to labor, power and maintenance is driven by the number of production series. So the calculation, for example, for A is that A has 40 divided by 64% of the number of series. Therefore they should carry that percentage of indirect costs for labor, maintenance and power consumption. So in this case that's 250,000 that they have to cover. We can make the calculation for B as well if we want to, just to make sure that we are on the right track with this calculation. It's 8 divided by 64 times 400,000, 50,000, and then we do the same. 60 divided by 64 times 400,000, and we can calculate the total out here, and hopefully the result is 400,000. Great. The next are the computer costs. The total of those are 50,000. They are driven by the number of product groups, meaning that actually they have to carry 1/3 of the costs each, because each of them constitute 1/3 of the product groups. And we do like that. And like that. And as you can see, this is not a very good table to work in. So once again, I hope that you don't get an exam like this, or a question like this at the exam. But next, depreciations. Those are machine hour driven, and we can see that there has already been allocated this amount to product A, and we can just calculate if we get the same result. 40,000 out of 23,000 machine hours, that's the percentage that this product group should carry out of a total of 84,000 in costs, and we can see we get the same result. Now next, B should carry this percentage of 84,000, and C should carry this percentage, and the total should be 84,000. If it's not, we've made a mistake, but it doesn't seem like we have, so that's great. And if we want, we can just get rid of some numbers here so it's a bit nicer, like that. Now we have all the numbers, we just have to add them up actually. What we should do here is to take the turnover and say minus materials, minus direct wages, minus indirect costs, minus computer costs, minus depreciations. And we should get, just a moment, why do we get a weird result here? That's because I've written this up here wrong, like that. And this is the result. So we have taken the turnover and subtracted all costs, the direct and the indirect costs. And this equation we can move over here. We should get the same result as already, and we do. And we can actually also just drag it over here, and we can see we get the same total product contribution as here. However, maybe the product margins per product has changed. So let's look at that. To find it, we have to say the product contribution divided by the turnover for each product. And we would like to have this in percentage, 41%. And we do the same over here. Actually, we can just drag this calculation over there. and we get a contribution margin of 26%. We can see that they are quite different from these product margins. Product B is actually quite a lot more profitable than we thought, and product C quite less profitable than we thought originally. Now, the way I would present this is actually just to copy this table into our exam paper, and then that's it. And once again, I certainly hope that you do not get an exam paper, an exam exercise like this. And that's basically it. We can cover it all, or color it all red. And we should write a short summary to Alvilda Bro to find or to explain what we have found out. And in this case we can see that the product margins are 32.4% for A, 41% for B, and 26% for C. This is the very short summary, because we actually have to write a bit more down here. We have to evaluate and compare the two different analyses, the standard costing versus the activity-based costing analysis. And what we can say is that the product margin for A does not change very much. However, in the ABC calculation, product B becomes very much more profitable, whereas product C becomes less profitable. This is because product C uses a relatively large amount of cost drivers. And in the previous calculation they were not punished or taxed, so to speak, for that, but they are in the activity-based costing analysis. So it's a more precise picture of how much it actually costs to make one unit of product C. So that's what we have found. For A, this new calculation doesn't change much, but for B and C it does. We can see B is now the most profitable and C is the less profitable. And before it was vice versa. C was very much profitable. So that's what we can write, and that's what we should do in this exercise. So that's exercise 3, and once again I hope that you will not get an exercise like this one at the exam. At least it should be with numbers that could be used directly in an Excel sheet.